Oh, guys, good, you're here. I am so excited. Guess what? I hope this isn't about your podcast again. Why, did you finally listen to it?
Before we start this podcast, let me invite you to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, YouTube, or any podcaster. I'm such a cute. Dashing through the snow on a one-horse open sleigh. Over the fields we go, laughing all the way. Ha ha ha. Bells on bobs, tails, wings, making a spirit bright. What fun it is to laugh and sing and sledding songs tonight. Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in one horse open sleigh. Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in one horse open sleigh. Jingle bells, Batman smells, Robin laid a neigh. The Batmobile lost his wheels and the Joker got away. Hey, we hope you all have a Merry Christmas. Ho, ho, ho.
Dun, 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 dun.
Hello, pups and kittens, and welcome to another fun-filled episode of The Groomer Next Door. I'm your co-host, Chris Green. Sitting next to me, as always, is the busy Sarah.
Hello.
And we have Claire.
Hello.
Alright, this is episode 157. Our guest today is Brandon Zavala. He is the founder and president of Apollo Peak Pet Wines. Now, for all of you who are interested in knowing more about it, just stay put. He'll be joining us in just a moment. But let's get into our fun fact of the week. Dogs are about as smart as a 2 or 3-year-old child. I wish that somebody on this podcast had been saying this a lot, like you or maybe me. This means they can understand about 150 to 200 words, including signals, hand movements with the same meaning as words. And again, dogs sometimes are smarter than people.
Yep.
A lot smarter. Alright, with that said, let's dive into the weekly roundup.
The weekly roundup, yeehaw.
Alright, this week on our weekly roundup, well, we have actual update on Bagheera. I can never actually come up with his name.
Bagheera.
I always have to think about it. Bagheera had a vet appointment this week, and if you are following us on Facebook at the Groomer Next Door podcast, you actually heard about this. So if you did, it's kind of a refresher. Took Bagheera in for a follow-up. It had been a week after Bagheera had been hit by the car. Not ours, thank God. But Bagheera is not showing any signs of movement out of his left arm.
Yeah, there's no improvement since last time. The only difference is that it's a little more stiffer and not so loose flying around. But there has been no progress on the shoulder connecting back to the spine.
Right, and so there is the big fear that Bagheera will never regain any kind of movement, and amputation is, a possibility. That's kind of scary and a little sad, but
It's so sad watching him hop around with this, lifeless leg. And the poor guy is trying to learn how to live without it. And he gets up on the couches, he gets up on her dresser and counters.
jumps on the bed.
And jumps up on her huge bed.
Yeah.
So, luckily he's young enough, and I will turn off my ringtone.
You are so not ready to podcast. Here. Let me set the actual stage. We're not in our normal podcast studio with live audience. We're actually back at the actual house, and it's snowing out there. It's under 10 degrees right now, and it's not what I'd call
It's not friendly.
It's not friendly. That's the word. Snow and ice trucks out there. You're just like, ugh, I don't want to go out.
Right. So, poor Bagheera, he's learning how to move around without the use of his leg, and the poor little trooper's trying really hard. His appetite is excellent. He can eat any point in time.
Well, that's another subject of what the vet was going over. I told him, obviously, he's eating a lot where he has the possibility of worms. And, the vet actually made a really good point and said, well, we don't know how long he had been a stray. If he was a stray, by his size, he doesn't look like he was a well-fed cat. So,
well, he looked pretty he looked fit. He looks fit. But
joining us right now, we're in front of the mic, is a katana.
She's like, what's this? What's this? And then Double's trying to get involved on this.
So was Oliver.
So the animals are like, what's this? It's everywhere.
You want to say hi? No? Anything? Anything coming out of you? Nope, he's not. Okay, so go on.
He's usually talkative.
I know, I bring him over to the mic and he usually would talk, and now he's like, nope, stage fright.
I forgot where I was.
He was a stray, yeah, his size.
I mean, he was thick enough to, he probably found ways of staying fed without any kind of issue. But the big problem is that poor leg. He can't retract his claws. He can't scratch anything. He tries. Katana, you're distracting me. He tries to scratch a scratching post, and he can't quite get his other leg up there to do it.
Yeah.
So he's only one leg in that scratching post, and it completely throws him off balance.
Yeah, he just tried to jump off of the actual table right here, and he realized that he does not have the mobility of that front leg, so unfortunately it gives out as he lands. So you want to actually hope that he'll figure it out. You obviously can't shelter him from it. You can't say you can't do that. It just isn't going to work. He's going to have to learn
it on his own.
That's the hardest part. I look at Claire and she has some kind of bump or bruise, normally from soccer, but you can always say, hey, don't do that because you'll hurt. She'll understand. Hey, your ankle's sore, don't run. Well, but Gary, you can't go, don't jump off the table, you'll land on your face.
Yeah, don't jump off the table, you don't have full use of your one limb.
Right.
You can't say that to a cat.
on one of the bright sides of the visit to Dr. Yankee was he had said he did not expect Bagheera to actually make it. He thought that with the head trauma, that was it. So he said, I am absolutely, amazed and happy to see that his eye is back to normal. Luckily, he didn't have a, eye popped out socket type thing. It wasn't that bad.
Oh, yeah.
It was just a, very weird dilated look, but still,
And what's great is that the people who were there to see it, they caught it in time.
Yeah.
And they're still in contact with me, asking me how Bagheera is doing, and they were the ones to come up with the name, and it was such a, priceless name. I had to keep it. So.
Well, yeah, you want to keep that.
And it was so well thought out.
Somebody had just watched The Jungle Book. You could tell. I mean, there's that live action one, so they probably just watched it and went, hey, look, we got an idea. So that's been going on. Anything else?
I've been busy making bows, and my mom's been doing dog jackets. I've been adding bows to the dog jackets and making the dog toys. That subdivision of our work has kind of flourished pretty good.
Yeah, you are in quite demand.
Yeah,
we tend to, it's funny, we work together, we're at the shop every day together, then we both separate and actually do side projects. You have your bows, you have the actual dog toys, the jackets, I go off, I do the podcast, talk to different people, hopefully get rescues involved with P-Call and be able to build relationships. It is crazy. It is an absolute crazy type of...
And what's really cool is that my bows I've been making, I had one shipped out to California, one set shipped to California, another shipped to Florida. They haven't gotten the one in Florida yet. At least they haven't told me about it.
Well, it's Christmas time and everything's so bogged down.
And then out in California, she wants me to send some more. She's going to send me some blades that she doesn't need anymore and some scissors. And I'll just send her a whole bunch of bows.
Great barter.
Hey. But that's flourishing pretty good. And the dog toys, the tennis ball, tug-of-war toys have been a hot seller. People have really want those. They like the idea of not having to touch the nasty, slobbery tennis ball.
I'm with them on that.
Play ball with their dog.
I always find it funny when she's making the actual dog toy with the tennis ball. If you have the hedgehog anywhere nearby, the hedgie likes to go and attack the ball.
Yeah, he'll steal them.
Yeah, he'll
take off with them.
It's either Sonic will take it or Roxy will come over.
Yeah.
You have to deal with a lot when you're making these.
I have to silently go somewhere and pop the top off the tennis balls because it's in compressed air containers.
Right.
I have to pop the top somewhere where Roxy can't hear it. And then I have to keep it away from the hedgehog and Roxy because they can smell them.
Yep.
And then I have both of them wanting a ball each. I'm like, come on, guys.
And on the podcast front, we have multiple confirmed guests that are coming on. Amazing, things that are happening with this. And I'm going, I don't have any place to put them. It's quite entertaining. And then trying to find time to set and all of this stuff. It is crazy, just the amount of...
Well, we got only so many weeks until the end of the year.
Well, we have these episodes, and we do these episodes practically live. So everything's pretty in tap to the week, so we're not actually way ahead of ourselves. That could be a little challenging. So with that, I think we actually have a guest that's about to enter the stage.
Oh, hello. Hold on a sec. Dad, we have a guest on the podcast.
This week on the podcast, we are so happy to be joined by Brandon Zavala. He is the founder and president of Apollo Peak Pet Wines. Thank you so much for making the time and being on the podcast.
Oh, thanks, Chris. I appreciate you having me on the show.
Oh, trust me, it's a pleasure. Like I told you, it was probably 5 minutes after I heard about you, and I was, just going through social media like I do, and I said, "This is awesome. I have to talk to you." I didn't expect to talk to you this soon because I figured it was probably going to be hard to nail down a time. But I thought, man, New Year's is coming around. We have Christmas. We have lots of holidays that are right here. This is the perfect time to talk about wine for our pets because we're going to be drinking it. So this is cool.
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are. I agree with that one completely. So let's just start off by getting to know you. Tell us about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm just a regular guy that grew up with cats basically, and had worked several different jobs after going to school, graduating college, and all that stuff too. And there was something missing in my life really, and I really wanted to start some sort of business. And just the fact that I've always been kind of a cat person in general. The idea for cat wine just spawned out of a joke with some friends, really. And the fact that I had worked in the pet industry beforehand kind of gave me a little bit of, I would say, experience in getting to the retail market with this product too. But really, like I said, it started off as a joke, and I thought it'd be really fun to make something for pets that could actually help. Socialize them with ourselves. And I would always sit at home and have a drink, and my cats would just be staring at me, and I'm thinking to myself, like, why don't we have something for them too, besides a bowl of water or something like that too. So, I've always just been a cat person. Never really had any dogs, so I can't say anything about that. But someday I'll get a dog, hopefully.
Well, now you have to. It's just
definitely.
Yeah, I mean you have to. There's just no other choice. I mean, I know what it's like to grow up with cats, so I totally can relate to this. And you become so used to the independence of a cat. Which once you have a dog, though, not so much independence. I will say they're a lot more. Like I said, they're a 3-year-old child, and I wouldn't want it any other way. I love it.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, that's so true. So once I get some more time on my hands, I can actually stay at home, or actually, when we move to a bigger facility, I'll be able to bring my dog into work too. So that'd be kind of cool. But having the cats at home, I can actually go ahead and take off on trips, leave them for a few days, leave them with some bowls of food, and they usually do fine. wine, that's something you definitely can't do with a dog for sure.
Very true, very true. And you're right now at that startup stage, so you're kind of in between where you can actually say, yeah, I want one. I'm too busy traveling. I'm too busy getting my stuff out there. But they are such a mascot, especially in your situation. It's going to be a mascot, I promise.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm dying for the time when you actually put one out there and I get to see it on your website or social media. I'll be like, there it is. I knew it was coming. I'll give you 6 months.
I can tell you right now that I have a lot of friends with dogs in Denver here. I always call Denver like Dogver, essentially, because pretty much everyone has a dog here, which actually works out really well in terms of getting some dogs and using them for photos and doing all of our videos and such too for the product. So it definitely entices me to want to have a dog of my own someday.
Well, it's funny. I grew up in Southern California, and of course, another place, a hotbed for people who have dogs. I can see where Denver would be definitely one of them. You're in that right market. It's a good spot. I can just, you're good. You're good to go. I imagine you're probably getting offers at the moment. Take our dogs. Please come down to this rescue.
I can't say that we haven't gotten that. That's for sure.
Yeah, and it's going to get worse. I promise.
Oh yeah.
As you grow, it's going to be like, would you? Here's a rescue company that our organization is going to come around. They're going to say, hey, can we do an event? We'll kind of pair up together, and then that's how it's going to happen. That's exactly maybe by summer, spring or summer.
Exactly. What better than to have an event with wine for yourself and wine for your dogs as well?
Right. I'm in. Wine tasting for you and your pet.
Yep, I can tell you actually, it was a pretty funny story, a little bit of backstory on doing something like that too. We actually had an event over Halloween, which is very interesting. We called it the Halloween Gala and Dog Wine Tasting Event. We invited some folks up to a rooftop that we had kind of close by to where we are located here, and we allowed people to dress up, come for like a Halloween event, but bring their dog as well too, and they can sip on wine for themselves. And we had 2 big barrels of new blends of dog wine where the dogs could actually try out and have a glass with them as well too. So hopefully in the future we'll be doing a little bit more stuff like that too, and kind of creating this whole drink a glass of wine and bring your dog along too type of deal.
You know what? I'm not in Denver. I wish I was. I'd be in. I mean, I just did a road trip. That's just my call.
For sure. I'll send you the invite to the next one.
Okay. You know what? I actually might be there. I might have to RSVP even now. So we talked about this before we even started recording, and I thought this is hysterical. So how did Apollo Peak actually start? How did your wine company start?
So, like I mentioned a little bit there, it started really as a joke. The whole idea kind of spawned from, I was actually going on a trip with some friends. I had just moved to Colorado. I wanted to bring something kind of symbolic of the state, but I couldn't really think of anything besides maybe finding some sort of drink to bring back home to them, but nothing really stuck out for me. So what I did was I actually went to a store and I grabbed a couple bottles of real wine, ripped off the labels of them, and actually had a friend of mine design a label of something I wanted to call the Pinot Meow, which would have been like a cat-themed type of wine that I brought to this party. And it was a hit with all the friends. They loved the design, they loved the idea, and one of them actually came up to me and said, "Why don't you work in the pet industry? Why don't you make something like this?" And I thought to myself, actually, that's a pretty darn good idea. Maybe I will start looking into this. So I spent about 6 months trying to figure out a recipe, because I knew that cats and dogs in general can't have grapes or alcohol by that or for that matter, really. So I started researching different methods of making some sort of beverage for them. And that's kind of where the idea for Beets came from. Beets were, an all-natural, all-organic food coloring, if you will, and actually really good for dogs and cats, except for the fact that they can sometimes color their urine a little darker, like they would do for humans, basically. But and then herbs in general, like using catnip for cats is just the perfect idea, obviously, because cats just love catnip, at least a good majority of them. But for dogs, that's where it got a little bit more difficult, because we thought, what kind of herbs can we use for dogs that are beneficial? And that's, the idea for a peppermint or a chamomile type of beverage for them just kind of jumped at us. So, we spent about, I brought up some partners with myself, some friends, and we spent a long time just trying to make this drink and color it and make it like the perfect drink to actually bring into a pet store. Walked into some pet stores here in Denver, offered up the idea for a beverage for cats, and it just kind of took off from then. And people just loved the idea so much that they just went viral online too. So it's a very wacky story how it came about, but it's worked for us. So
the wackier, the better. I mean, I've heard this so many times. People will say, whatever, XYZ, and there it happened. I mean, those are the best. It's lightning in a bottle, and you may try to capture that again. You may, but boy, that's hard. That is difficult.
Yeah, it definitely is difficult to keep the product noticeable in the market. But the marketing that we haven't even really done too much marketing in general for our products. And my goal with this business in general, from starting from this wacky weird idea for a wine for cats. And spawned to a dog wine, we're actually building what we want to consider to be a beverage market for pets. If you look out there and go into a pet store and look around the treat aisle, a majority of what you find are dry treats for dogs and drier, moist treats for cats. There's no beverages really for them. And in my opinion, why shouldn't we make a beverage for cats and dogs? Because although they've never seen it before, why wouldn't they delight in something that, we get to delight in too? And might as well bring them closer to home. We're already making them like our family anyway too. So definitely something fun to do with them.
I agree. I mean, like everybody on this podcast has heard, I mean, I have a daughter, and, she's the love of my life. I love my daughter so much. But my pets they're family. My dogs are huge to me. It doesn't matter if they're a rescue or they're one of the fosters. All of them are so close to my heart. And I thought to myself, of course I'm going to celebrate. I mean, New Year's comes around, I'm going to celebrate with my cats and dogs, just like I am with my family. It made so much sense. I'm thinking, why has nobody done this before?
Yeah, same thing I had thought too. It's like a little guy like me with a little idea, maybe just out of nowhere, was able to actually produce a product that is actually fun and different out there too. So yeah, it's a very cool feeling for sure.
Oh yeah, I mean you've struck gold. No joke. It's maybe more in the wine gold, whatever they would call that. I'm not
red gold, I guess.
I guess so. There you go. So what challenges, because obviously you must have faced, some challenges while going through this process. What were they?
Oh man, I face challenges. My team faces challenges every day. But from the beginning, like I said, creating the product was fun and whatnot. But following like the regulations that are required for any type of pet treat, that was certainly a challenge. I'd say one of the biggest challenges in getting these products to market was following a lot of the like USDA rules, ensuring that we are registered in every state, which is a requirement as well too. One of the things that separates pet products from any type of human product is that you have to register, kind of similar to like a liquor license, if you will, for each state. That was a huge difficulty for us, of a team of 3 people. Wow. So we had, as we were growing, we would bring some people on and say, hey, listen, your project is to focus on these 10 states or whatnot. So that was a big challenge from the beginning. Another huge challenge that we face and don't face as much anymore because we've kind of figured it out, is the oxidation of beets. And beets they're a great product. They're very nutritious, but man, they will oxidize so quickly. So in order to make some sort of beverage for pets, we had to figure out a way to prevent these beets from turning brown. And they turn brown so quickly. So we literally have a 2-hour span or 2-hour window that we can, juice our all-natural beets and get them in the product before they actually will go bad and we can't use them anymore. So that's a challenge that we face every day, but we've kind of gotten to a point that we've beaten that one at least, in my opinion, and we've found ways around it. But and then like I said, today we face challenges every day. The holiday season is upon us. It's been super busy. We're a team of about like 15 employees right now too, and then the 3 of us managers here, and we work pretty much 7 a.m. till 8 p.m. at night, just trying to package and get these shipments out, make more products, and get them out in time too. So we definitely want to be able to get everything to everyone before Christmas Eve, because we know that there's a lot of gifts out there, and that's the biggest challenge for us now, is to make sure that we can get everything out on time and make sure that our customers are happy.
That sounds just absolutely exhausting and yet rewarding at the same time. Now,
definitely.
I should have asked this before we started recording. I'm going to throw you a little bit of a curveball. You can say, well, I can't answer that because it has happened. We've had this happen with a previous guest, but sure. I'm a huge fan of Shark Tank. Have you considered, or are you considering, or have you actually already done it, been part of Shark Tank to actually pitch this?
I have heard about it through some friends or whatnot. I really haven't even thought about it myself too. I've got so much focus on the business right now that anything outside of it is just outside of my realm of thinking, to be quite honest with you. But I had, you don't know how many people have approached me and said, "Hey, you should do this, you should do that," and I'm like, well, maybe if I had some time outside of my 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. schedule that I'm here in the office too. But yeah, I know. If the time came around, I would definitely try to pursue it. But right now, we're just so busy, I can't even think about that.
I totally understand. I get that. I mean, I was just thinking, boy, there's one. I don't know if you get a chance to ever watch it. I mean, I'll catch it on Hulu every so often, but and if I'm not able to watch it, but Mr. Wonderful does wine, and I was just like, oh my God! Just as I'm listening, I'm going through this, I'm going, gosh, I bet you he would invest in. But look, you're already moving out of your current residence for your business, and you're moving into something bigger. It's almost kind of like, I don't even know if you need them. But it was still fun.
Yeah. It might overwhelm us, to be honest with you. We want to be able to make our customers happy, like I said, too, and having all that demand right off the bat, I'm sure that, I wouldn't want to order something and then have to wait 4 weeks for it, and I wouldn't want our customers having to do that either, too. So.
No, it makes sense. Totally makes sense. So we're going to go over ingredients as, we go through your different wines. So I'm going to kind of move on. So let's talk about, the different wines, and let's start with your special edition, which I noticed was actually sold out on your website. I don't know if if you're getting more back or if those are going to be gone for the holidays, but the strawberry Moscato.
Yeah, I'm actually laughing about that silently. We call it the super special limited edition strawberry Moscato.
There you go.
So that drink is actually pretty funny. So it was made by mistake, to be honest with you. That drink, we were messing around with ingredients on our original Moscato, and got a little bit of the color kind of mixed in with it. That created this like a strawberry, a little bit of the red color, I should say, mixed in with it. That created this strawberry-looking color Moscato, and we kind of figured, well, we can't really send these out. People will say, well, this is not a Moscato-looking wine whatsoever. So we pulled them, and we were going to throw them away. And then a couple of my employees and myself kind of sat down. And I was like, what can we do with these? We shouldn't throw them away. They're good. They're just a different color. And someone had brought up, they said, it kind of looks like a strawberry or something like that. And I said, why don't we put these online and see if maybe people would like them? I don't know, because they're still good and they just look a different color. And that's what we did. We put them online. We had about 212 bottles or so, and they sold out in like 3 days.
Yeah.
Which was awesome to see. And we think actually what we're going to do is we know the ingredients we use for it, and we know what different colors we actually mixed in for it. And we're thinking that we're actually going to make that a product in 2017. It's going to be our Apollo Peak, what we consider either a strawberry Moscato or a pink Moscato, which is more or less an actual drink in terms of wines out there. So it'll be back, definitely, but probably a little bit after February 2017. So
sorry, folks, you're going to just have to wait a little bit.
And you got it when you had your chance.
Right. I didn't even know about it. And I looked and went, oh, wow, sold out. I'll bet you they're going to push those back in there. But, yeah, I don't blame you. All right, let's go on to Cat Bernet Meows. I love your names. I just love them.
The Cat Bernet. Yeah, the Cat Bernet was... So when we started thinking about a lot of these different drinks in the early days, the Pinot Meow was one, the Moscato was one, and the Cabernet was one that we had always wanted to focus on. We had made the drink, we never really figured out what we wanted to mix in with it, but we wanted something that was a little bit more holiday-ish for this year, and we test marketed it actually back in the early summer time frame. We sold about 150 bottles, and they sold out pretty quickly too. And so what this Cabernet is actually made of, it's made with catnip. But it's also made with a little bit of a peppermint too. So mint in general attracts cats, and catnip being part of the mint family in general, just attracts cats in general. But what this drink specifically does is it actually smells a lot better than like the Pinot Meow, for instance. If you've ever smelled catnip, I'm sure you have. It doesn't really smell that great to us humans, at least in my opinion. I'm tired of it anyway. I've seen so much of it, I don't even like the smell anymore. But the first time I had smelled catnip, I thought, man, this stuff stinks, And so we started making the Pinot Meows, and they didn't smell that bad, but they still kind of stank to me. And I thought, this is terrible. What can we do? And what kind of herbs? Obviously peppermint is a good one. We could use it. And we started making this batch of the Cabernet, which is the original batches that we tested. People loved it, and we thought, well, let's make this a holiday edition with the whole peppermint thing. And It'll smell a lot more like a candy cane, if you will, but it's also a really good drink for cats, and they would be attracted to the catnip in it, and still act like fools. So.
I love that. That's awesome. And yes, it does. It does smell. You're just like, oh, and you probably smell it a lot. You have to have your office smell of it. So,
because I think that I'm pretty much immune to the smell now at this point. I mean, some people will say, man, can you smell that catnip? It's pretty strong. And I thought either my nose is clogged or I've just gotten used to it.
you know, it's funny. Can you imagine the next people who are actually going to lease your actual current residence where you're actually doing this? Just imagine. They're going to be like, why does this place smell like catnip? That's just going to be...
Yeah, they're going to say it's a very weird herbal smell in there.
Well, you know, pot is legal in Denver, so they're probably going to think that's
true.
What it is. I'm just...
There'll probably be a greater stench of that around the area than there would be our herbs for cats and dogs.
You know, that would be probably funny when you go, you know, we actually are, you know, producing herbs, and, you know, people will be like, oh, pot, no, stuff for cats. I mean,
exactly. I always tell people that, you know, we're in Denver, Colorado. It's a very herbal-based area, and that's kind of why we make an herbal-based drink for pets in general. You know, it's a very, and it's not just about pot in general. I mean, a lot of people love the different teas and herbs around here too, and it's just that type of area for it. It's just perfect. You know, it gives us a good reputation as well too.
You picked the perfect place to do this. I mean, seriously, it's great. Mm-hmm. And of course, look, I'm from Los Angeles. I mean, it's also legal there, and it's probably, I think it's been a lot bigger there for the longer time. So I'm kind of, I find it all very comical to me. So let's go to Malbark. I'm terrible with wines. I'm a terrible drinker, sadly enough. So
that's all right.
Some days I actually think I'm, just Amish. I don't know. I never drink. I'm so sad. I'll have a glass of wine here and there, but I couldn't tell you names of wine. This is where I could never be part of your team because you guys would be sitting there coming up with names, and I'd be like, Cabernet.
Just have to do a lot of consulting with some people that drink a lot of wine.
There you go.
That's kind of what I've done. I love wine in general, but by no means am I a wine connoisseur. I don't know all the different types of wines. I just know like the basics, and I know what I like. Like a fine Cabernet is my favorite type of red wine and stuff too. So that's all I know. But the Malbark. So the Malbark is for the dogs, basically. So basically, what we do is we love to play off the names of real wines and actually make them fun and catchy for pet owners, and that way you have something that's really cool for your dog or cat. But the Malbark. So the Malbark actually kind of started from what I would say, which we'll probably get to, like the Zinfandel. It was kind of spawned from that product itself too, and to kind of separate the two, basically they're basically made with the same ingredients. So the Zinfandel and the Malbark have both a peppermint base to them, but what differentiates the Malbark and why we call it a Malbark is basically we use a type of ingredient called anise or anise seed powder or whatnot, or I always have bad pronunciations. It could be aniseed or whatnot too, but this has actually been known as something that's kind of like a catnip for dogs, if you will. It gets them a little excited. It's like a licorice type of thing, and the smell gets them pretty excited. And so we made a wine that instead of the calming down type of wines that we have, like the Zin and the Chardog, which I'm sure we'll talk about, the Malbark is actually more of an excitable wine, a wine that'll make them bark, if you will, and get them excited and have fun with it. So made obviously with all natural ingredients that are good for the dog in a sense, but can actually have kind of a fun little effect on them and make them really happy and jump around. But I do know there are some dog owners out there that are probably snarking at them like, my dog needs to calm down more than he needs to jump around. But maybe one of those days when you have a glass of wine, you want your dog to get excited, so you toss him a glass of Malbark.
Personally, I like to see our dogs bouncing around, but that's just me.
Yeah,
that just means they're happy. So I'm always happy.
Absolutely.
Now we're going to go back to actually, because I lined up all of your brands from your website, so I'm actually going down from your website down. So the next one is the White Kindle, which again I like that one because I know what a Zinfandel is, and so Kindle was great. That was awesome. So I was like, I know this.
The Kittendale. That's one of the most fun products to ever try to make, and it took us forever to get it right, basically. So, the Kittendale, we wanted something to look like a Zinfandel, like kind of a rosé color, something pinkish and whatnot. And we fought so long trying to figure out how to get our beads to work and to come out in that color rather than a dark red that they normally will turn to. But the Kittendale. So the Kittendale was designed really as a substitute for the Pinot Meow, in essence. So the Pinot Meow just has catnip. We realized that only about 60 to 70% of cats really have a sensitivity to catnip. So in a sense, we're missing 40% of all the cats out there that won't have any sensitivity to it, won't like it, and basically won't be able to have all the fun that the cats that are sensitive to catnip do. So we actually use an ingredient called valerian root, which is basically an herb as well too. It stinks worse than catnip, that's for sure. Oh, wow. And whenever we make the product, the whole place just reeks, basically. But this ingredient in the drink actually helps to attract those cats that don't have a sensitivity, and also the kittens out there that don't develop a sensitivity to about a year of age, basically too. So you can actually have a kitten or a cat that's not sensitive to catnip. They can drink this drink and have that smell for the valerian root and start acting kind of funny, just like the cats with the Pinot Meow would. So that was the big deal with the Kittendale. It's I'd say it's probably one of my favorite products, basically because it was the hardest one to work with and it was the hardest one to make. But I love it.
That's awesome. Because you put catnip down for kittens and they just kind of go whatever, and then the older cats come over and like, oh, this is mine. So yeah,
it's funny. Yeah, the older cats will start acting like the kitten.
Yes, yes, it's great actually. That throw some hair ties down and some catnip, and my cats are happy. That's Mardi Gras for them.
It is, yeah.
So Pinot Meow.
Pinot Meow.
That's awesome. I just love that. I love the names.
Thanks. Yeah, that was our flagship product. That was the original drink ever made. I love the Pinot Meow. Has always been kind of fun to say, and whenever we've had any like media attention or anything about it, people just laugh so hard. Like, the Pinot Meow, the wine for cats, basically. But yeah, so the Pinot Meow, the original drink, basically, just made with a good amount of red beets and catnip, and put in this special blend that actually comes out really well. And it has a good amount of catnip in it too. So I think that would be probably our strongest drink, if you will, for cats. And it's just a fun name and a fun drink to give to your cat, basically.
I'm starting to think that there's going to be this little wine bar for cats that you're going to open up here in the coming years, and one half of the place is going to be a bar for the cats, and the other half will be a wine bar for humans. And I see this happening. This is pretty cool.
Well, I'll tell you this much. I actually have a friend out here who owns a cat cafe. A woman I actually met who helped give us a chance to get started back in the early days. And she had originally an idea to start like a wine bar for cats, where you have a separate room and whatnot for the cats. You can go hang out. She did try to raise some funds for something like that, but it didn't go over as quickly as she wanted. And I think that the media press, she didn't get enough for it. But I've always said that if we get to a point that we're big enough, I would love to open something like that too. I think that would be a lot of fun. To have a little bar for humans and then another little room for all the cats to kind of run around and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there's cat cafes out there where you go to a little coffee shop and there's cats that are in the place and they're kind of a comforting type atmosphere. That's kind of what I'm thinking. That has the same kind of principles.
Yeah. In our early days too, I'll tell you this: when we first started off, like pretty much our first month of open shop, basically, we worked with the cafe in town here, where we actually threw some like a launch party and some events, and and we said, hey, free wine for humans, and we've got wine for the cats too, and people would come in. I mean, it was basically, it just went nuts. We had people lined up out the doors just to come into a cat cafe to hang out with cats and sip on some wine. Yeah. And that's when I saw that happening, I thought, wow, this is actually something that would go over really well with people, I think, as long as they're not stepping on the cats or anything like that, too. So we'd have to figure out a way to keep them separated from the mass crowds or whatnot. But maybe if they hung out in an area above, like a glass room above or something like that, that would be pretty cool.
Well, it's funny. We did an interview with somebody in Texas, and she has a cat cafe, and they're really famous. They're really, really popular. You go to Asia, and they're really popular there. They become very trendy in the United States now, where, we have some in New York and some in California and, of course, Texas. And they just roam around. I mean, they're not put away. They'll have little perches in the place, and they're happy as you kind of look and go, this is actually a cool thing, especially if you can't have a cat in the house. So I can see that working. I can totally see it. So
I certainly could too. Yeah. Go ahead.
No. Keep going.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think that what's really cool about them, too, and you might know this because you have a lot familiar with it, too, but I know the cafe in town here, they actually adopt out the cats, too. Yeah. So, if people come in, they can hang out with the cats, they fall in love with them, and they take them home, basically. And in my opinion, I think that's one of the best things possible. One of the best opportunities to sit down, have a glass or have a cup of coffee, hang out with some cats, and then find one that is actually kind of like your best friend that you can take home with you, too, So I love the ideas.
Yeah, a lot of them work with a lot of different cat cafes out there. They work with local shelters or organizations, and sometimes they'll bring them in and they'll leave them there for a day, or do an event, or leave them there for a little bit, and it actually unclogs the shelters, so you don't have so much. Yeah, it is kind of cool. Let's go to the original Moscato. Now, when I heard the original Moscato, I thought that was your flagship. I thought that was the very first one that you had ever done.
Yeah, no, so that was actually number 2 in our list. So the Pinot Meow was number 1, the Moscato, we like to throw in that little pun with the Muscat on there too. Moscato, basically. That was our second product, and that was when we kind of realized, like I said, we were just regular people with an idea that we wanted to try to implement, and we never knew that a golden beet existed, to be honest with you. We thought all beets were red. And when we found out that there was a golden beet available for us, we thought, well, heck, we could actually make a white wine now, too, So that's where the Moscato came from, basically. And, our operations girl now, she helped me in the early days, Zoe. She basically said, hey, listen, I'm gonna mess around. I'm going to see if I can get us a nice color, Moscato color, like a clear white wine color, out of using these beets. And spent, a couple hours messing around in the kitchen back, in the early days. And we made this bottle of Moscato, and we thought, wow, we actually have 2 cool-looking wines now. This is awesome. So it was a number 2 wine, but it definitely was made almost coinciding with the Pinot Meow in the early days. But it's basically made the same as Pinot Meow because it was essentially made together, if you will. So the amount of catnip is just a tad bit less than what the Pinot Meow is, essentially. So it's a little bit lighter of a drink, kind of like what I would consider to be like a white wine, a little bit lighter than the reds. But a little bit lighter of a drink in general, but helps mimic that white wine. You never know. Maybe your cat likes white versus a red. So.
Well, no. Well, you know what? People actually, and I'm really speaking out of seriousness, not a joke. People would actually have different types of cat food. So, and then whatever they're making, they might be making a fish, and so they'll give their cat a fish, and then they'll go, well, I'm having a white, you're having a white. I'm having, meat. You're going to have some kind of, bison, and you're going to have a red. I can see that.
Yeah, the red meat versus white. Yeah, it does happen, actually. I've seen it so much with people that have ordered a product. They said, hey, I had a fish entree for my cat, and we decided to use the Moscato instead of the Pinot Meow, and they loved it.
I believe it.
I just think to myself, this is amazing. I love the fact that people love this idea. They're as crazy about their cat as I am about mine, basically, and it just puts a smile on my face every time.
Well, and it should. Now, again, I'm going to actually say I didn't know about a golden beet.
You or me either. Like I said, I didn't know about it in the early days. It exists.
Is it in a sense kind of an albino? Is that what it would be considered? I mean, I'm really curious. That throws me into, teach me, please. Let me learn something here, because I do learn from this.
Well, I'm not too big on the whole vegetable thing or knowing a lot of the different vegetables out there, but I will say that the golden beet is actually just as popular as the red beet in general too. I mean, the one thing I can say about golden beets is if I had mentioned about red beets being very volatile and oxidizing pretty quickly, the golden is the stepchild that you don't want to mess with, basically. The golden beet in general oxidizes probably in 20% of the time that the red beets do, and so it was always a really volatile, hard, and it still is. I mean, we still make all of our drinks, very small batch and very organic in the means, basically. So when we're making stuff with the golden beets, we have to be extremely careful about this product because if you have it sitting for longer than, and this is the absolute truth, longer than 5 minutes, this juice of it, it's gone, it's done. You can't use it anymore. It turns color, and it's no longer that beautiful white wine color that you would see in the drinks themselves too. So yeah, I never knew about it. It's a very volatile product. It exists. It's very popular out in the market, and we might as well use it as an all natural coloring for a drink, at least.
I'm with you on that. I'm just that was cool. I'm like, oh man, I'm really digging this. Now you had mentioned it, and it was part of I think we were back when we were talking about mall bark, but you were talking about Zinfandel. That was the next one on the list.
The Zinfandel, yep, basically our very first dog wine, if you will, when we jumped into the dog wine arena. So the Zinfandel is a pretty basic product. It uses peppermint, which is shown to be kind of a good, I have to be careful with my words too much here, but like a digestive aid, something to help with the stomach for dogs. Peppermint has always been kind of like that in general for dogs. And we thought, why not make something that would actually be beneficial to them and also smell good too? I mean, I love it when we're producing this stuff because we use a large amount of peppermint for it, and the whole plant basically just smells really good. So everyone just kind of comes in and like, take a good deep breath. It clears out your nose. It smells really good, and that's kind of what the drink is in essence for dogs too. Both the Zinfandel and the Malbark, since they use peppermint, are actually really good in terms of like freshening the breath of the dog too. Mm-hmm. So not only helping with the digestive issue, but freshening the breath, and it's also a really good relaxant, if you will. So I mentioned the cat wines in general being a type of wine that gets them excited, and the Malbark being one that gets them excited. The Zinfandel Zinfandel is actually a drink that is designed to help kind of soothe the dog and help them be more mellowed out, if you will, like kind of having a nightcap at the end of the night, basically. So that's basically what that product's all about.
I'm going to associate that now as being a nightcap. There's just no way around it. That's the nightcap. Actually, there's your next kind of advertisement to it. So,
absolutely.
And I think this is our last one, and that is the Chardonnay.
The wonderful Chardonnay, which is definitely the most volatile of all of our products. I even, last week I had a meeting with some of my partners here, and I said, you know what, we should just kick off the Chardonnay, but it's such a fun name, and it's such a weird product to make, and it's got so many benefits. Well, we're going to try to master this product and make it one of the best out there, but the Chardonnay is made with chamomile, basically, and chamomile has been known to be a relaxant for humans and animals in general, too, and so this is one of the strongest, I guess if you would say, relaxant drinks that we would make, and it's made with our golden beets. So, but one thing that we've noticed, so like I mentioned about golden beets being so volatile, so hard to work with, chamomile is the same way. When you're making a drink and you want it to look good, we've gotten so many reports from people that say, "Hey, there's so much sediment in this drink. There's more sediment than I've ever seen in any drink floating around." And we run our product through a really good filtration process, but chamomile, what happens is it actually like bunches up, breaks down, gets very small, and then when it's cooled, kind of bunches up and then kind of gets together, and all these little chamomile leaves come right back together in the drink, and we're like, oh my gosh, we tried so hard to get this out of here, but we can't. But at the same time, it's an all-natural drink for dogs. It should have a little bit of chamomile leaf in it and have a little bit of sediment in there. They'll actually enjoy that, and it would have more of an effect on them in general. But the Chardonnay, so it's basically just a relaxant, mellow type of white wine for dogs, if you will.
You know what? I'm going to go buy a bottle of wine tonight and have wine with dinner.
I love it.
I've literally, just the conversation alone, I'm pretty sure that everybody listening, whether it's, one thing I love about doing the podcast is that it's not something that's just going to be today and it'll go away. It's something that will stay up in the cloud forever. It could be 10 years from now, somebody's going to be going, you know what, I really would like a glass of wine too. So it's just, that's kind of cool.
It kind of excites you a little bit.
It does. It does. I'm going, now what kind of wine do I want? Now, you've kind of alluded a little bit to the process, but this is one thing I love about talking with different people with cool ideas, and you pretty much have grown into the mad scientist of dog drinks, I mean, there's never going to be anybody that's going to be any more of the mad scientist, and that's in a good way. But what's it like when you sit down and actually do a brainstorm of new product of, well, what are we going to call it? What is that like? Or even what has been the process before?
Yeah, you're gonna laugh at it, but our entire team gets together, and it'll be when we're making a product. Basically, we'll be sitting here, and like I mentioned, our place is pretty small, so everyone kind of works together here. We're in one large, huge kind of industrial type room, and what we'll do is we'll think, hey, you know what would be cool if we mix this with this, and what could we call it? What would be some funny, cool little names that we could use for this type of drink? And literally, that's all it is, basically. I'll sit down there, every day. I'm not, I might run this company, I might be the guy that started all this stuff, but I work right next to all my employees all the time, too. If we're on the bottling line, I'll come over there and I'm going to help. Sometimes they push me away because I distract them too much. As you can see, I talk quite a bit, so they'll say, hey, get out of here, you're making it worse, But that's kind of what we do. We'll be working during the day, and I'll think to myself, what if we did some sort of rosé, and what could we call it, and what colors could we use to make this, and could we put any other type of herbal, leaves or something in this that would make it look cool and make it be cool for dogs, and would dogs like it, would cats like it? That's really how it is, and everyone's just screaming out ideas. We'll have 10 people working, and everyone's screaming out ideas. We're jotting them down, and then maybe once a month we do what we consider to be an R&D day, where at least not in December we won't, but in January where we started again, we do an R&D day where the whole team comes together. Everyone gets to mess around with different ideas. We make different products in small batches, and then we run them through some test subjects, which will be friends' pets or friends' dogs and cats, and see if they like it, if they taste it. And that's really how a product is conceived, basically. Just a bunch of random ideas coming together.
Random ideas are the greatest. I mean, seriously. I mean, and again, the mad scientist thing does fit, and that's really, honestly, if there's anything better in life than being mad scientist than anything, I'm with you. And the whole, I joke with my employees quite often about it too. I always tell them, I'm the chemist here, I'm the production engineer, I'm the salesman. I always do that, and they'll just rip on me all day long. It's like, Brandon, you think you know everything, don't you? I'm like, well, if you don't know, we can learn online, that's for sure. That's funny. And it's great though. It's great that you talk, and again, never stop talking. You said you talk a lot. I'm like, you're doing great. I've there are times that far in between, but there'll be somebody I'll talk to, and there are 2 words, and that's the answer. And it's like, well, tell me more. It's like, well, that's it. No, there's got to be more.
I'm certainly one of those folks that has a hard time engaging in conversation with folks that won't say anything, because I'll just be the one talking nonstop, and that's just my personality.
Right, or that silence, and all of a sudden you're just like, okay, the silence is making me uneasy. I'm going to have to do something, whatever it takes to change this. Yeah, I'm with you. Now, you mentioned all of the different things. Is there anything more that would actually explain how your product is actually safe for all animals?
Yeah, so we do have a process in place to ensure that, obviously with a drink it's really difficult to control bacterial growth in general, but we do have a process in place to help what we consider to be boil away, to pasteurize the product in general, to ensure that there's no bad ingredients or bad bacterial growth in the product itself too. Our goal is to make something that is, obviously all natural, doesn't use any chemicals to prevent that type of growth, but to also try to make it safe for animals. We don't want to make anything that's going to make them sick by any means. I wouldn't want anything for myself or for my cats at home that would make them sick, and so our goal, and one of our biggest goals here from the beginning, was to make a product that's natural, make it without chemicals, and make it safe for them, and finding new and creative ways to actually make it safe for them. So, we do have a process in place here that we actually help to prevent growth and to prevent all of these issues that most bottlers will face with any drink that's out there too. too. So, yeah, we definitely tackle that every day. And we've gotten to a point now that we're pretty good at what we do right now too. So we found that our drinks have only gotten cleaner, gotten better. I mentioned, sediment being in the product, which is just, leftover sediment from the catnip and all that stuff too. We've gotten to a point where we've pretty much minimized that to a very small percentage in the drink itself too. So every day we learn something new, and every day we want to make it a better product for sure.
And you know what? I know it's new, and I know you're pretty much learning to walk at this stage. But from what I've gathered, and I've been doing this long enough, talking to different people from all over, you seem to actually be ahead of the game, and that's a cool thing. That is definitely cool.
Yeah, we know that there's going to be some people out there that love the idea, are going to try to copy it, do their own thing as well too. But we just figure, if we can, consistently do what we're doing, we make a good product for people, an all-natural product as well. That will always be ahead of the game. We'll definitely be ahead of them in general. So love it.
I know the feeling. I really do. There was never a pet podcast, and I'm starting to see them pop up out of nowhere. So And you're going to face the hardships of the social media, and you're going to face all those things, and it's part of the game. At the end, that's what it is. And there was one other thing, and I was like, okay, I'm curious what this is. What is the Artist of the Week? It's
actually Artist of the Month.
It was month. Okay. See, dyslexia right there. I was like, a week, month? I thought, where did I write here?
That's okay, yeah. I can't tell you too much about it because I don't know too much about it. So that's actually a pet project of one of my partners, Zoe. And it actually derived from what this event is called CatCon LA out in Los Angeles. I don't know if you've heard of that, but this was this big event we went to. It was kind of the launch of our product, and we found so many different artists out there that were doing these type of different products, different portraits, all kinds of different really cool things that we had seen. And we're like, man, if we get a lot of media attention, why not share it with these people who are starting out just like us? And so we created this thing called Artist of the Month, and what we do is we work with any type of artists that do dog and cat type stuff or animal type stuff in general, and we give them space on our website and for people to see their products in our web store essentially, and we let them host on there. We take basically a very small percentage of it just to cover the fees of having their products listed on our site, and we try to help them out and try to build their audience. We had one of our very first ones was this thing called Trippy Kitty coloring books, which is these two kids basically that started making these coloring books that were pretty trippy in general too, and they were all about different cats basically, and we thought that was so fun, so awesome of a little idea, and we wanted to try to help them out and build their presence as well. And as we grow, we always want to be able to help out folks that were always in the same place as us basically, folks that are getting out to these stores and trying to sell their products as much as they can. We were there. We love the ideas, and we want to be able to share it with them too, share the attention. So
that's cool. Now you will see artwork by us. I make artwork, like I'll do there's a teaser art that will I'll tag.
Cool.
You're going to be tagged in it. It will tag, and it'll go up tomorrow, so you'll see it there. I can email all these to you. I'll just shoot you an email with all of them.
Yeah, love it. Yeah, maybe we'll toss you up there for Artist of the Month then, for sure.
Yeah, I always like to make album art. It's never been part of. It's actually not part of making a podcast. It's something I just decided. It's kind of cool. I always appreciate everybody who comes on, so I want to make something that'll highlight that. So you will see that. I'll send you each one, and I think it's kind of cool.
I look forward to seeing it.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you a little later. Once because I got a million things that are going on, unfortunately, around me, which doesn't seem to be. My life is like that, like yours. It seems like it's always.
Always going. Yep.
Always going. It's like an escalator in a sense. And lastly, and I'm always sad. I say this all the time. I'm always sad to see an episode end because you always kind of get attached to them. And I was attached to this whole thing. I'm still really attached to this episode and attached to your product for sure. Where besides the website, where can listeners actually get their own bottle?
Sure. Yeah. So like I said, we launched on our website. We actually started selling on Amazon. I will say that due to the holidays, we've sold out everything on Amazon, and we're still trying to keep up with just our online orders. But we do have a ton of stores across the U.S., and we actually have a link on our website where you can actually find a store near you if you wanted to pick it up there too. So we do have so mainly a lot of like smaller pet shops, smaller like boutique pet stores, all natural pet stores. We're not in anything huge at this point. We just don't have the capability to make those those, 100,000 bottles that would need to go across the U.S. in these big box stores or anything like that. But we are in small pet stores across the country, and people can go on the website. They can look up a store near them. They can go there. They'll find the product there too. So we did try to make it as much available as possible before the holidays. Hopefully they're not sold out. But yeah, definitely we'll be able to find it in stores by you as well too. So.
And that's all. Now, was it hard to get into stores, or was that something that was pretty easy?
Oh, it was super hard at first. I'll tell you this much. We don't have a sales team by any means that would go out across the entire U.S. and be able to visit these stores. We did sign on a distributor, like a local distributor here, who works across the nation. She has basically helped us expand our business in terms of that sense. And then also some like online distributors who have helped to grow our brand and grow the presence of our brand as well too. I know there's one like Vet19 is a big one. Meowingtons, if anyone's ever heard of that, they've helped to market and get our product out there too. So it was hard at first, but when we did get a lot of attention in the summertime, we had stores just knocking on our door asking to carry the product. So, and we've done our best just to make it as much available as possible.
Congratulations on your hard work and honestly, great product. And again, it's the only one of its kind.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. I appreciate it. It definitely is. It's weird to take this idea that I, thought nobody would actually ever think is as cool as I thought of it, and have people that are actually fans of it. I mean, it's really, really humbling for myself and for my team too. And every day, like I said, we just try to improve it and make it a better product. That way, one day maybe we can hit these big stores and get it all out there.
I think you're doing great. I mean, seriously, I do. And like Thanks. I told you, I wouldn't have you on here if I didn't like what you were doing. And I wouldn't be, I'm always the type, I'm serious about everything I say. Once something actually catches my attention, and I right away become, okay, I'm a fan. I like this. This is cool. So,
that's awesome. I'm sure we'll stay in touch. We should definitely stay in touch for sure.
And I was just going to say that, whenever you're going to, drop a new product out there, you want to come out and come back on here and just, even if you wanted a 5-10 minute little spot, just say, hey, I wanted to mention this. Always feel free. I'm always available, and whether I have you, a spot that I could just slip you into somewhere. I put segments in the podcast. I can take things out, put things in. No big deal.
Yeah, perfect. Cool. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, when we do have another big launch of something, I'll definitely get in touch with you.
Yeah, cool. Well, I really do appreciate you doing this.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate you having me on the show. I love being able to talk. Like I said, I'm a talker in general, so being able to be on these type of shows just it makes me happy. I always make time for them. So,
well, you know what? Anytime you want to make time for us, we're here for you.
Perfect. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you again, Brandon, for actually coming on the podcast. I've sadly yet to actually have that glass of wine I had said I was going to have. You're currently drinking a glass of wine right now. I drink so little.
This is the benefits of recording while home.
Yes.
Alcohol is okay.
Yes, that is true. You can actually drink
It's not frowned upon in this establishment.
You know what? And I really, really, really want to actually get alcohol on stage when we're doing it on our normal venue. A lot easier. But I really do appreciate it. My takeaway from it was I loved hearing about the smells in the actual factory.
That was kind of funny.
I got a kick out of it. I really, right off the bat, I hit it off with Brandon when we started talking before we actually went out and did this interview. And he's just a cool guy who had a really good idea.
And easy to listen to as well.
Yes. And, I look at it and go, the best ideas come from almost, in a sense, just kind of a gag. You think of something funny, and then all of a sudden you realize, wait a second, this isn't out there. Why are we not doing it? Why is somebody not doing it? And you realize, well, I'm somebody. Why don't I do it? And that's exactly what he did. I'm hoping that a wine bar opens up and they're part of it. I would love to see a wine bar with different sections, one for dogs, one for cats, and I'm sure you can pull it off. I mean, almost kind of a dog park / cat cafe, and work it out. I think they can do it.
Well, it's kind of nifty how they have that cat cafe there. It's nice to see more and more of these popping up.
Right. And you're going to find them in trendy cities. And Denver is definitely a very trendy city. So you're going to find that there. You're going to find it in Los Angeles, Denver, obviously we know the one that's in Texas. New York is huge on this stuff. So I think that this is a real positive sign for him.
Bigger and bigger.
Well, he's already having to move out of the current factory because they just don't have the room.
And then how excited they get when they're making the peppermint wine.
Yes. Well, I would too. I would too. I love the smell of peppermint. But then think about it this way. What if it's like March, April, and you smell peppermint? Automatically you're thinking Christmas. And you're like, no, we've already done that. I don't want that.
Or you're like me. There's only 300
oh, jeez.
days until Christmas.
It's 1/4 way away from Christmas. Or 1/4 Christmas. Yeah. No. I won't want...
We're not late. We're just early.
Yeah, you're like, hey, look, it's April. We're almost to Christmas. No, we're not. No. But I had a blast, being able to talk to him. And he's, going to come back on.
I enjoyed listening.
Well, we actually hear one of them. I don't know. It's one of Toiler Double meowing, probably playing with.
No, it's Oliver and Bagheera.
Oh, is it?
Facing off.
Oh, those two. It's funny. Bagheera is starting to actually get the welcome wagon. Well, he definitely had the welcome wagon.
No, he's used to being on his own, and then you're putting him in with a bunch of cats.
Well, these guys have all they were all the new kids on the new kittens on the block, as I said a couple of days ago, and
Oliver.
and with being new kittens on the block, he has to adapt to their world, and that's kind of what this is. It's now their world. They've surpassed, and yeah, that's how it goes. But I just think that what he's doing is great, and I'm looking forward to hearing more about it. I
like the benefits of each bottle.
Yes,
the health benefits is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I would love to see, because our cats love catnip.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, Little Miss, I'm going to give them catnip last night. That didn't work out well at all. That did not go well. So I can imagine, let's have some
catnip before bed.
No.
Yeah, they're bouncing off the walls.
They were drunk.
It was great. So I would love to see what they would do with the different wines. And same thing with Katana. That Katana would definitely enjoy it completely.
I think that Katana would absolutely get a kick out of it. Absolutely get a kick out of it. I'm sure that Brandon will come back on. We talked a little bit after we finished recording, and it's like, hey, love to be back. He's like, I'd love to come back, and as soon as they have new lines and things, he'll let me know. And yeah, it's kind of the fun part about doing this is that you really are able to meet these great people, even great inventors. I mean, he's a mad scientist.
Yeah.
Science! I mean, seriously, he is a mad scientist, and I said it even in the interview. It's like, you really are just...
What if he's just nice? He's a nice scientist.
Well, you have to be mad.
He seemed very nice.
Yeah, but you gotta be mad.
He wasn't mad.
Crazy
he was
mad.
Nice.
He's nice. He's extremely nice.
I think he didn't seem mad.
No. But he's definitely a wizard when it comes to putting things together. I mean, the formulas and I can just imagine R&D, what it must be like, and it must be fun. One thing I like to do is I like to just be a fly on the wall listening to that. That would be fun. I could never work there because you know how I am. I'm absolutely a goofball, and there's just absolutely no way I could get anything done. So,
kind of like at work.
Exactly.
If you were separated from me, nothing would get done.
Yeah, when we're together, things just don't go well. It's just
hence
nothing
this
but
podcast.
Well, Well, what we do is we divide, and then we meet up at the middle.
Yes.
It works.
It works.
So, thank you, Brandon Zavala, for actually coming on. I really did appreciate your time, and great interview. Great interview by him.
I'm looking forward to our order.
Yes. Well, by that sound, Claire has turned on the applause sign, so I guess we better get out of here. Well, I guess get out of here? We're not going anywhere.
I'm just going to sit back on the couch and continue sewing the bows.
Oh, and I'm just going to actually make sure this goes up online. Awesome.
And don't lose the recording.
And don't lose the recording is exactly right. Well,
I'm going to finish my wine.
I need to have a glass of wine. This brings it all back to what I said earlier. I'm going to have a glass of wine. I've yet to have one. And it's like, yeah, I need to have one.
I'll have one for you.
I'm sure you will. I'm Chris Green. Have a pet-tastic week.
And I'm Sarah Green, making sure everybody realizes life is so short. Play with your pet.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Okay, gotta go in my bedtime.
And now the show is over now.